and it was a great team effort to beat DeWanna Bonner in her return to Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Had to feel great for the fans there to see her vanquished and not playing well, and Alyssa Thomas complaining all over the floor. Bonner booed in her return.
Cheers, buddy. DeWanna Bonner, I just want to start here. You stink. You stunk it up. You caused all that ruckus. I thought you stopped shooting threes hitting the side of the backboard when you took the Indiana Fever jersey off.
There is a special tension that hangs in the air when a city gets its chance at poetic justice. And on this night in Indianapolis, you could taste it before a single warm-up jumper left the rim. DeWanna Bonner, once heralded as the veteran cornerstone who would help lift the Indiana Fever back to relevance, was back in Gainbridge Fieldhouse wearing someone else's colors. She was not welcomed with polite applause for past contributions. She was greeted the way a thunderstorm greets a picnic, an unbroken roar that drowned out the starting lineup music and rattled rafters that still remember playoff banners from a decade ago. For months, fans had replayed her mid-season departure in their minds, how she left when the climb grew steep, how social feeds buzzed with whispers of locker room friction. So when she finally strode through the tunnel, the entire building exhaled the same word in chorus: quitter. It was not just noise. It was a verdict delivered by 12,000 witnesses, and the verdict echoed long after the first possession tipped off. Bonner's exit last year came dressed in polite statements about fit and future goals, but Fever supporters heard a different message, one that stung each time the team slogged through another rebuild loss. They had believed in her, bought jerseys with her name stitched across the back, and bragged to rivals that the franchise had secured a proven champion. Then the news dropped.
I mean, just a hell of a job, y'all. That was a big win. Okay? That was a big win. We stacked the deck.
Bonner booed in her return, which is to be expected considering the circumstances in which she left. And the players that have come in for the Fever are much better than Bonner was for them. Aari McDonald has been a revelation. She was great in this one again. And Chloe Bibby looks like a perfect fit. So all in all, Fever fans have to feel pretty damn good about that win.
That she wanted out. Reports claim she questioned the development timeline, murmured about offensive schemes, maybe even doubted whether management would extend her paycheck into her mid-30s. True or not, those rumors hardened into folklore. Tonight, that folklore thundered down from the upper deck every time she dribbled, every time she turned to chase a rebound that sailed past her fingertips, every time she missed yet another three that banged off the side of the backboard like an exclamation point on a breakup letter. Nobody inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse pretended this was just another road game. This was payback, wrapped inside a 40-minute clock. Up the sideline sat Caitlin Clark in her warm-ups, assured by trainers that resting a tender groin for one more night was the smart play. Yet if you think a superstar needs to suit up to affect the game, you did not watch her that evening. She was the emotional conductor of an orchestra tuned to a single note. Prove that Indiana is bigger than one disgruntled veteran. When Lexi Hull hounded Bonner into a shot clock violation, Clark sprang out of her seat so forcefully she nearly toppled a Gatorade cooler, arms windmilling, eyes flashing at the crowd as if to say, "You wanted energy? Here it is." She chest bumped Aari McDonald, tugged at Aaliyah Boston's jersey to shout a quick suggestion, and jabbed the air with 3 fingers after every made triple, even though none of those threes came from her hand. All while she never once loosened her sneakers. Leadership, it turns out, can yell from the bench just fine. Across the court, Aari McDonald was busy rewriting the scouting report Phoenix had prepared. She arrived in Indianapolis after Bonner's salary slot opened up, a guard many labeled under.
When did you realize you had it kind of going tonight, and what kind of opened up for you? It felt like you were scoring kind of from basically everywhere.
When I seen those 2 threes go in, then I saw how easy it was, like getting into the paint. I'm like, okay, I'm converting. All right, I'm good. Like, let's keep being aggressive, or just keep taking what the defense is giving me.
We gotta continue to stack. Okay, we ain't got no room for sliding back. Okay, we no room for slippage. Every day there's a sense of urgency. Okay, I was proud of you guys, the way it was offensive and defensive substitutions, being ready to go with that. Everybody who came in made an impact. We had 5 in double figures, damn near 7. That's really, really good. Y'all, I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of you. Together, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Sized a spark plug at best. Somehow, those labels never mentioned her stubborn refusal to back down. Early in the first half, she buried 2 quick threes that made the Mercury defense stretch wider than they liked. The next possession, she split a trap, slipped past the half-hearted hedge, and kissed a layup off glass while drawing a reach-in whistle. That was 5 points in 30 seconds, and suddenly you could sense Mercury veterans trading uneasy glances. McDonald's engine never cooled. She slashed, jab-stepped, kicked to open shooters, then darted back to the arc to relocate for a catch-and-shoot 3. By intermission, she had 19 points on the stat sheet and a palpable buzz swirling in the building. Ari might put up a night for the archives. Her fearlessness became contagious, the type of energy that makes teammates cut harder and contest shots a split second sooner. The irony that her contract became possible only because Bonner walked away was not lost on anyone, including the arena DJ who started from the bottom during a timeout and sent the crowd into a laughing frenzy. Depth is rarely forged in comfort, and Indiana's depth flashed brighter once the spotlight focused on McDonald. Chloe Beebe signed to a 7-day contract so recently that staffers were still looking.
We got to celebrate beating down DeWanna the Scammer Bonner. Cheers, my friend.
Watched her replacement, Ari McDonald, drop a career-high 27. Meanwhile, her fiance...
Bonner battling with Hall. Bonner turns, fades, fires, and leaves it way short. Great defense there by Hall. Copper tracks it down and bounces for Bonner, who had her shot blocked. And it's a shot clock violation. Bonner walled off by Hall. And then blocked at the rim.
In her coffee order, checked in wearing a grin that screamed nothing to lose. She drilled a corner 3 on her first touch, then backpedaled, shouting, "Let's go," toward the bench. Minutes later, she stepped into another triple in transition, the smooth release silencing a run that Phoenix threatened to build. Sophie Cunningham poured in 12 tough points, including a 4-point play that spun defenders and momentum in one fluid motion. Dearest Dantas chipped in a dozen of her own, punctuated by a dream shake pivot that left Alyssa Thomas lunging at air as the ball swished through the net. Each contribution felt like a small brick set into a growing wall between Indiana and collapse. Bonner's absence had opened financial breathing room, and management spent it on hungry players eager to prove a point. Players who fought for rebounds as if bonuses depended on it, who dove after 50-50 balls with disregard for elbows and hardwood. Speaking of Alyssa Thomas, she spent stretches of the game jawing at spectators, at referees, at shadows, anyone within earshot. Early on, she flashed a ring finger toward a heckler, miming that real teams chase jewelry, not moral victories. She hollered scoreboard after Phoenix grabbed its first lead, oblivious to the fact that games are 40 minutes long. Her bravado might have played in a quieter gym, but here each taunt ricocheted off a crowd already wired on redemption and funneled into louder boos whenever Bonner checked back in. At one point, Thomas turned towards Section 109 and waved both arms as if conducting an orchestra of silence. Instead, the boos swelled, drowning her out entirely. And as the scoreboard tilted back in Indiana's favor, her earlier gestures began to look like foreshadowing for a Greek tragedy. The proud warrior golden the gods moments before lightning strikes. The strike arrived at the start of the fourth when Aaliyah Boston decided the night required a signature performance. Up to that point, she was steady. 10 points here, 8 rebounds there, doing the dirty work that rarely trends on social but always wins respect in film sessions. Then, she caught the ball on the left block, took one power dribble, felt Brittany Griner lean, and spun baseline for a reverse layup plus the whistle. The roar that followed shook the upper deck. Phoenix called timeout, but strategic diagrams cannot solve willpower on a mission. Out of the break, Boston sank a face-up jumper from 15 feet. Next trip, she carved space, drew a double, kicked out, reposted, sealed, and nailed another and one. 10 straight fever points bore her fingerprints. Mercury faces sagged with each bucket. She thundered to the rim for a putback and pounded her chest, eyes blazing as she shouted something only her...
I don't understand, like, she's a legend, and just all the things that she's done for the league, and just the disrespect, I can't get down with it. They booed her. She didn't say a word to the crowd. People talk some trash to her, but we had her back. But it's just very distasteful for what their fan base is doing as far as when it comes to DB, because it's just like she's just the sweetest soul, and the situation didn't work for her, and that's just not what she wanted or whatever. But it's just, we don't need all of that. It's just unnecessary.
Teammates could hear, though anyone could read the message. This paint is mine. In 6 blurfast minutes, she poured in 17 points. Pushed to tally to 22 with 12 rebounds, and shoved the deficit into territory Phoenix could not climb. When she finally checked out, to thunderous applause, Clark met her at midcourt, wrapped her in a bear hug, and whispered, "That's how you close." The final horn confirmed the box score facts. Indiana 107, Phoenix 101. But numbers cannot capture the emotional ledger. Bonner finished with 4 lonely points and 1 rebound in 21 minutes that felt twice as long. She trudged through the handshake line beneath a steady rain of polite applause from Mercury staffers. But the roar she received on her way in had mutated into a murmur that followed her down the tunnel. McDonald's 27 points on perfect free throw shooting flashed across the score.
You talked a little bit about being happy for DeWanna Bonner, finding a good spot for her. What was your overall thoughts on having her there in the reception tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about the reception. I don't hear anything once I'm out on the floor. But it's weird seeing her on the other side. But at the end of the day, basketball is basketball and relationships are relationships.
Scoreboard ribbon like a neon sign announcing a new era. Austin's line of 22 and 12, including a 4th straight double-double, stamped her progression from promising draft pick to bona fide franchise cornerstone. Even the team's stat sheet, listing 5 players in double figures and 2 more on the cusp, read like a manifesto against dependency on any one star. Even the generational talent in stylish sneakers on the bench. Post-game media responsibilities invited a fresh round of drama. Kalia Copper, still heated, labeled the home crowd very distasteful, lamenting that a legend like Bonner deserved respect for her contributions to the league. Her frustration spilled over as she defended Bonner's character, calling the boos unnecessary and unfair. Yet a moment later, Fever coach Stephanie White faced similar questions and delivered a calm, diplomatic answer.
What was it like having DeWanna Bonner return to Indiana, and what were your thoughts on the fan reception tonight?
Honestly, that got nothing to do with me. I think DB returned because we were playing Phoenix, and so that happened to be that. The fans chose to do what they wanted to do, but for us, it's about paying attention to what we have to do here, and that was coming in and getting a big win, which we were able to do.
Acknowledging it was unusual to see her former player in different colors, but insisting that relationships outlive jerseys and that her team simply focused on the game plan. The contrast was stark. Copper's indignation sounded reactive, while White's poise exuded the confidence of a franchise comfortable in its own skin. Then Aaliyah Boston stepped to the microphone, fielded a query about crowd behavior, and demurred with a shrug. Honestly, that has nothing to do with me. We came here to win a big game, and that's exactly what we did. 10 words, no drama, a mic drop attitude that matched the scoreboard's truth. In the locker room, McDonald wrapped ice on both knees and grinned when asked whether this was her arrival night. "I don't know about arrival," she said, "but I know the door's open and I'm stepping through." Across the hall, Bonner dressed quickly, eyes fixed on the floor, answering softly about missed opportunities and giving credit to the Fever's energy. She praised Boston's dominance, admitted her own shot felt off, and said something about turning the page toward the next game. Yet even her most ardent supporters sensed the subtext. Some pages refused to flit that easily, especially in a league where rivalries run deep and memories run deeper. Outside, downtown Indianapolis hummed with late-night traffic as fans spilled from bars still dissecting every possession. Social media lit up with slow-motion replays of Boston's footwork, highlight reels of McDonald's fearless drives, and side-by-side comparisons.
Both teams have now erased double-digit deficits. 9:30 to decide a winner. Howard inside Boston, deep position. Wow. Dangerous pass there by McDonald, rescued by Howard. Howard trots inside, left hand off the mark. Boston pulls it down and lays it in. McDonald has just had that look in her eyes here tonight, but it's Boston taking over in the fourth.
No answer.
Nate Tibbetts.
Only 15 three-point attempts and 6 makes for Phoenix from outside the line.
Boston step through, lays it in. You can't stop her.
Powers in the paint.
Playing without Kelsey Mitchell. She's got the 5 fouls. Boston, Cunningham. Yes! And a foul!
Since Bonner's departure quote versus her stat line. Hashtags trended. Instant karma. Fever rising. Analysts on talk shows debated whether Indiana had transformed from novelty to genuine contender. One thing was clear. The Fever were 3 games above 500 for the first time since 2015, riding a 3-game winning streak and doing it without their superstar scorer. They had depth, swagger, and vindication, all born from the same moment a former star walked away. Sport often pretends to be scripted, but nobody could have drafted a tale with this symmetry. The player who left in search of greener pastures returned to find that the grass had grown lush where she once stood, watered by the resolve of teammates who refused to wilt. The crowd that once cheered her name found new heroes in the very cap space her exit created, and a franchise that once relied on hope learned to rely on itself. As arena crews dimmed the lights and rolled cameras out of the tunnels, one banner still glowed on the upper ribbon. Fever 107, Mercury 101. But beneath that line, another truth shimmered, visible only to those who know the deeper language of the game. Sometimes quitting sparks a chain reaction of unity, and unity is the fuel that powers champions. So tuck this night into the annals of basketball karma. Remember how boos became a battle cry, how a backup guard turned cap casualty into career night, how a young centerpiece seized the fourth quarter as if destiny had penciled her name in bold. And remember, too, that Gainbridge Fieldhouse will buzz with renewed belief the next time Caitlin Clark laces up. The Fever no longer wonder if they can win without her. They know it. The league, once comfortable slotting Indiana as a one-woman spotlight act, has fresh scouting reports to write, thicker than before. And DeWanna Bonner? She heads back to Phoenix with a reminder etched louder than any press conference quote. In the space she vacated, a garden grew. Stay alert, because if karma can spring this surprise in January, imagine what June might bring. Championships are not awarded for poetic justice alone, but confidence forged in fire tends to burn longest. Indiana has discovered its flame, and the rest of the season just became mandatory viewing.